Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into a really fascinating everyday mystery. You sprain your ankle, or maybe you get a throbbing headache, or you pull a muscle in your back. You swallow this tiny little pill, and within an hour, the pain just magically fades, right where you needed it to. I mean, it literally feels like the medicine somehow drove straight to the site of the injury. But how exactly does that pill find your sprained ankle?
So how does a painkiller know exactly where your pain is? Well, let me just drop the big twist right here at the start for you. The pill doesn't know at all. It has absolutely zero clue where you're hurting.
To figure out what's actually happening, here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. The smart pill myth. 2. Journey through your body. 3. NSAIDs and inflammation. 4. Acetaminophen and the brain. 5. Changing how we feel. And finally, 6. Filtering and safe usage.
Section 1. The smart pill myth. They don't target pain, they bathe the whole body.
It's a systemic journey, not a targeted one. When you take an over-the-counter painkiller, it isn't some guided missile locking onto your headache. Instead, it enters your bloodstream and goes absolutely everywhere. Think of it kind of like a public address system in a massive building. If one room is playing music way too loudly, and that's your pain, the pill doesn't walk into that specific room to turn off the radio. Instead, it just turns down the master volume for the entire building, all at once.
Section 2. Journey through your body. Following a single pill's path. First up, the pill is swallowed. Step 2, it hits the stomach. Now, all medicines need to be dissolved before they can really be absorbed. The active ingredients cross the membranes of your stomach and small intestine, slipping right into your bloodstream. Step 3 is the heart. Your heart acts as a massive pump, taking that medicine-rich blood and just blasting it out to every single tissue and organ in your entire body. And finally, step 4, the blood travels through the liver. Your liver is basically your body's security checkpoint, right? It's always trying to remove foreign substances, but these drugs actually bind to proteins in your blood to sneak past the liver completely undetected, well, at least for a few hours.
Section 3. NSAIDs and inflammation. Stopping the chemical chain reaction.
So, when you injure yourself, your body immediately kicks off a chemical chain reaction. Your cells release these things called prostaglandins. They are essentially the crucial chemical messengers screaming ouch to your nerves. And they promote inflammation, bringing all that redness, swelling, and heat to the area to kickstart the healing process. Basically, they are the whole reason you feel pain in the first place.
And this perfectly leads us to our very first class of drugs, NSAIDs, which stands for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. You know them as ibuprofen, Advil, Motrin, or Aleve. The creation of those pain-causing prostaglandins relies heavily on an enzyme called COX-2. Think of pain like a giant Rube Goldberg machine, right? A super complex chain reaction. Well, NSAIDs work by blocking one of the very first steps. They literally bind to the COX-2 enzyme, locking it up so it can't produce any more prostaglandins. Because the medicine is everywhere in your blood, it finds the COX-2 wherever it happens to be, like right at the site of your injury, and it simply shuts down the swelling and the pain signals right at the source.
Section 4. Acetaminophen and the brain. A different key for a different lock.
Let's compare the two heavyweights of your medicine cabinet. On one side, we have ibuprofen, our trusty NSAID. As we just learned, it physically reduces inflammation at the actual site of the injury. But what about acetaminophen, which is widely known as Tylenol? The exact mechanism isn't even perfectly understood by science yet, but we do know it primarily works only in the central nervous system, your brain. It actively blocks the perception of pain and lowers fevers, but it does absolutely zero to reduce swelling or inflammation in that sprained ankle. It's just stopping your brain from hearing the alarm bell.
So the really crucial takeaway here is that because they work so differently, two are actually stronger than one. You can safely stagger them, taking one, then the other every 3 hours, or even take them together. Why? Because they're blocking COX enzymes at completely different locations in your body. In fact, they potentiate each other. That's just a fancy medical way of saying the acetaminophen actually makes the ibuprofen work better, and vice versa. Medical professionals are increasingly using this combined strategy for severe pain. We're talking tooth decay or even broken bones, because it is incredibly effective, and most importantly, it helps patients avoid having to use highly addictive opioid medications.
Section 5. Changing how we feel. How opioids hijack the brain's receptors.
I absolutely love this striking analogy from our sources. Painkillers are like putting tape on the check engine light. Now, this is especially true for opioids. Unlike NSAIDs, opioids don't go down to your swollen ankle and fix the actual inflammation. They go straight to the opioid receptors in your brain and your spinal cord, flooding them and completely blocking the transmission of the pain signal.
The check engine light is still flashing for sure, but the medication just slaps a thick piece of black tape over it so you can't see it anymore.
A pharmacologist in one of our sources summed it up perfectly with this rather blunt quote. "Oh, you're still in pain, you just don't give a shit." Opioids are so insanely powerful that they don't just numb physical pain, they actually dull emotional pain, anxiety, and distress. You become totally disconnected from the sensation. But, as you might guess, that creates massive risks. Not only does it throw open the door to severe psychological and physical addiction, but because you don't feel the pain, you might literally walk on that broken ankle and make the actual injury so much worse. Plus, when the drugs finally wear off, the pain can return tenfold in what's known as rebound pain.
Section 6. Filtering and safe usage. The risks of turning off the pain.
Let's look at the biological clock of a standard painkiller. At 0 minutes, you swallow the pill. At about the 30-minute mark, it's absorbed and starts actively reducing your pain. But remember that security checkpoint we talked about, the liver? It doesn't give up. By the 5 to 6 hour mark, your liver has successfully filtered the drug completely out of your bloodstream, moving it right into your bile to be excreted from the body. That is exactly why the pain relief wears off, and the bottle is telling you to take another dose every 4 to 6 hours.
But you cannot just keep popping them indefinitely. The real-world risks are super significant. NSAIDs block prostaglandins, right? But guess what else prostaglandins do? They protect your stomach lining. If you take NSAIDs for too long, you risk losing that natural stomach protection, which can lead to severe ulcers, bleeding, kidney damage, and even high blood pressure. Acetaminophen, on the other hand, is heavily processed by the liver. High doses can very quickly lead to toxic, fatal liver failure. And ironically, if you take either of these for too many days just to treat a standard headache, the decreasing drug levels in your blood will actually cause a withdrawal rebound headache, basically trapping you in a vicious cycle of pain. Generally speaking, you really shouldn't use them for more than 7 to 10 days without a doctor's guidance.
So, we've solved the mystery. The pill doesn't know where to go at all. It just goes everywhere, waiting to bump into the specific chemical locks that are causing your distress. I want to leave you with this final thought. Next time you reach for a bottle in your medicine cabinet, ask yourself, which part of the Rube Goldberg machine do you actually need to stop? Do you need an NSAID to shut down the physical swelling in your knee? Or do you just need acetaminophen to turn down the alarm bell ringing in your brain? Understanding how these everyday miracles work empowers you to treat your body safer and a whole lot smarter. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep asking those great questions.